Okay, Mod 4, Lesson 14, we're going to be multiplying unit fractions and non-unit fractions. Now remember from Lesson 13, unit fractions are fractions that have a unit of 1 as a numerator, like 1/2, 1/3, 1/4. Yesterday we were multiplying like 1/3 times 1/4. Today we're going to be multiplying unit fractions like 1/3 times non-unit fractions such as 2/3, which the numerator does not have a unit of 1 in it. Okay, question 1 says 1/2 of 2/3. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and draw our fraction model. And I'm starting off with 1/2. So I'm going to split it in half. And I'm going to shade in half of it. Now I'm going for 2/3. I'm going to split this into thirds. And I'm going to go ahead and shade in 2 of the 3. And I can see that I have these and this box that were shaded by both fractions. And overall I have 6 blocks, so I know I have 2 6. If we check the standard algorithm, 1/2 times 2/3, we can see we'd end up with 2 6. So they both compare. Now the second one, we see once again we're doing 1/2. So we're going to shade in 1/2. And then we're doing 4/3. Well, wait a minute. Here is 3/3, so I need to add on another third down here. And I'm going to shade it in. So now I have, there's 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, and 4/3. I can see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4 of them that are double shaded. Now, as far as my denominator goes, I'm still sticking with the whole, and the whole had 6, so it'd be 4/6. Now let's double check it. We have 1/2 times 4/3. 1 times 4 gives us 4. 2 times 3 gives us 6, so it checks. On D, let's do our fraction model. Once again, this is 1/2, so we're going to do 1/2 of it. And then we have 6/8. Now I like doing 8s, so I'll cut them in half. And I'll cut the halves into quarters. Now I'm going to cut the quarters into 8s. Now it says there's 6 of them, so I'm going to go, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And you can see this is a 2 by 8, so I know my new denominator is 16, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them that were shaded on by both fractions. So it'll be 6/16. So we have 1/2 times 6/8, which equals 6/16. On E, we have 1/3 this time, so we're going to split it into thirds. And we're going to shade in 1/3. And then I have 4/5, so I'm going to split this into fifths. Then I'm going to shade in 4 of the 5 of them. And we can see, we know this is a 3 by 5, so our denominator is going to be 15, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of them double shaded. And we know 1 times 4 is 4, 3 times 5 is 15, so they check. On F, I've got 1/3, so once again I'm going to split them into thirds. We're going to shade 1/3. Then we have 4/5, so I'm splitting it into fifths. There's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now I'm going to shade in 4 out of the 5 of them. There's 2, 3, 4. And we can see this is a 3 by 5, so we know it's a 15 for the denominator. And then we can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of them that were shaded by both fractions. So it'll be 4/15. And up here we can go 1 times 4 is 4, 3 times 5 is 15. Checks. Number 2. Sarah has a photography blog. 3/7 of her photos are nature. 1/4 of the rest of her friends. What fraction of Sarah's photos is of her friends? Now this is where it's important, where it talks about you need to do a tape diagram just to follow the problem along, because we're talking about her photos. So this is going to be a 1 because it's her photo album, and it says, or her blog, and it says that 3/7, it's right here, were of nature. Okay, so that means this here are the remaining photos. And that's important because we can see if this is one whole here, 3/7 plus 4/7 gives your whole. So you know the remaining photos were 4/7. Now it said 1/4 up top here, 1/4 of. So we know that means 1/4 times the rest of the rest, which is the remaining photos, which is going to be 4/7. So we have 1/4 times 4/7, which is going to give us 4/28. And with that, we can reduce that, and we can tell because they're both even. And I know that 28 is a multiple of 4, so I'm going to go ahead and divide them by 4, and I can see 4 divided by 4 is 1. 28 divided by 4 is going to be 7. So it's 1/7. So 1/7, it's right here, that is going to be of her friends. Grandpa Mick opened a pint of ice cream. He gave the youngest grandchild 1/5 of the ice cream, his middle grandchild 1/4 of the remaining ice cream. Then he gave his oldest grandchild 1/3 of the ice cream that was left after serving the others. Who got the most ice cream? How do you know? Draw a picture. Okay, so we're going to start just with a tape diagram. And we know this here is 1 pint. Okay, that's 1 pint of ice cream, or all the ice cream. And he says he gave 1/5 of the ice cream to the youngest. Then it says his middle grandchild 1/4 of the remaining ice cream. Well, if 1/5 was given to the youngest, that means there's 4/5 right here that is remaining. So instead he gave 1/4 of the remaining. So that means 1/4 of 4/5. So, which is 1/4 times 4/5, which equals 4/20. And we know they're both divisible by 4, so that'd be 1/5. So we know that, and it says he gave the oldest grandchild. So there's the oldest, got 1/5. Now, we can see the middle child got 1/5, because when we solved this, the middle got 1/5, and the oldest got 1/5. So in the youngest got 1/5. So as you can see, everybody got exactly the same amount of ice cream. Nobody got more. Now B, what fraction of the pint of ice cream will be left if Grandma Mick serves himself the same amount as the second child? Well, as you can see, this is still all 1. And you can see here, there's 1/5 for the youngest, 1/5 for the oldest, and 1/5 for the middle. And it says here 1/5 for Grandpa, because he just gave him the same amount. And you see this 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5. So there would have to be 1/5 remaining, because it has to add up to 1.